Hello everyone, welcome to today's section. Alright, so I've decided to convert this into a normal video and then upload it later because the live stream was really malfunctioning for me. Alright, so I used another approach. Okay, so we're going to be straight with this and I'm just going to break down everything in simple terms for you. Okay, in case you're not in the Telegram channel, I'm going to put a link in the description below so you can join, all right, and also be part of the community that are learning Flutter. And then later, I believe, with dedication, you are going to be good at this stuff. So learning a new skill this year, 2025, is not going to be a waste for you. I guarantee you that. Okay. So today's section, this is the first day of our streaming. And today we are going to be talking about Dart fundamentals and basics. I'm going to show you guys how to set up Dart, and also we're going to talk about the core concepts of Dart. Okay, so first of all, I need to greet you all specially. Okay, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whichever part of the world that you're watching me from. Okay. So I want you guys to put one in the comment section below to be sure that you got everything that I said initially. Okay. So and I also want your attention because you're going to be learning a lot. This is the first video. You're going to be learning a lot in this program. You're going to learn a lot from how to build apps. You're going to learn Dart fundamentals, the basic things that you need as a Dart programmer, or the basic things that you need as a Flutter developer when it comes to Dart. You need the variables, data types, and every other thing that I use regularly in my applications. You're going to learn it, things that will get you started and up to speed. All right, so you don't need to panic. I got you covered in everything. And also, if you want to reach me directly, if you have any concern, any issue, the Telegram channel is there. It's available. All right, you can also DM me privately in case if it's something you cannot drop in the Telegram channel. So yeah, I'm ready for you guys until you master the stuff. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be looking here is what is Dart, and from that we are going to move on to setting up our Dart and running our first Dart program. Okay, then I'm going to take you guys on a journey of understanding Dart syntax and the various fundamentals of Dart. And then we're going to be talking about Dart data types, variables, and comments. Then we are going to be talking about string manipulation and type conversion. And finally, in this section, we are going to be talking about operators. Okay? So first, what is Dart? Dart is a programming language. It was developed and it's currently maintained by Google. All right, I know Google are not the ones that designed it. And so Google is currently maintaining it. So we also know that that is used to develop cross-platform software applications. Okay, so if you move into Flutter, you're going to use that a lot. But let's say you're not into Flutter for now. You can use that to create your web apps, right? You can use that to write command line code. That also supports cross-platform development like Android, macOS, Windows, web apps, and the rest using Flutter. Okay, so finally, that is the default programming language that is used for building Flutter-supported applications. So what do I mean by Flutter-supported applications? Flutter is a cross-platform mobile framework, right? Or SDK. You can use it to create for mobile like Android and iOS. You can use it to create for desktop, Windows, Linux, and macOS, and also on the web. You can use it to create web apps and all those stuffs. Okay, all those fun stuffs that you want to create. So you're in the right place, right? You are in the right place. So next, let's look at that setup. Okay, so here I'm going to take you guys on the journey of setting up that in your machine, but I'm not going to take you in depth like the technical aspect of it like that. Okay, so I will show you some documentation that you can look up to that will show you how to install that for Windows, install that for Linux, install that for, let's say, Linux. You will install it for macOS as well. Okay, So what you need to do here now is First, you will go to that.dev, your website or your web browser. And in case you don't want to set up that, let me show you one thing before I move. In case you don't want to set up that on your machine, or your system does not have the capacity to run that, it's okay. You can try that in your browser using that pad, where you can run your programs and all that. So whatsoever I'm going to show you in this video, you will be able to come to try that pad and run it. Okay, so I got you covered, don't be scared. And I know all these stuffs are just complex, they're just looking like bunch of complex code, so ignore these things, all these things. Yeah, so I'm going to break it down for you before the end of this section. So next, let's go to get that. That was the main reason why we are here. So click on get that. This is going to show us the documentation on how to install that and every other thing. Okay, so all right, my network is really messing me up here. All right, let me quickly. Okay, all right, so it just came up now, and this is the documentation to just set it up. First thing you want to look at is the system requirements. So make sure that your system meets this requirement before you try to install that. Okay, so once that is checked, you can now go on to the next one, which is options that you can use to install that. We have the first one, package manager, which is what I'm going to be showing you guys in this video. And we have Docker image. I've never used this before, so I won't be talking anything about this. And we have install Flutter using, like, if you install Flutter automatically, it includes the full that SDK. Okay, so we also not be talking about this. But if you're coming from my Telegram channel, I want to believe that you've already downloaded all these things that I'm trying to walk you guys through now. Okay, because I dropped the link and I also dropped the message there for you guys to download it before the section, which is today. So in case you don't, you have not done it, just follow through. It's fine. And yeah, installation of Flutter. I'm not going to show you guys in this section. It's going to be in the next section, which is day 2. All right. Then once you've done that, there are some other things that you need to follow. That's if you're using install Flutter method. So let's move forward. Now you have installation of that SDK. We have 3 options depending on your system. Actually, you have 1 option. Okay, so if you're using Windows, you have 1 option. If you're using Linux, you have 1 option. Mac OS, the same thing. Okay, so you go to Windows, and you have, before you can install it on Windows, you need to install Chocolatey. So Chocolatey is, let's open it in new tab. Chocolatey is more like a package manager, I'll call it that, and it helps us to install various SDKs right in your Windows system, so that supports it. So click on this website, right? Click on this link. It's going to launch this for you. It's been a while I use Chocolatey. Alright, so to get it up and running, we have this install button here at the top right corner. So you click on it. I hope I'm in the right place. Alright, I'm in the right place. So what you just need to do, ignore all these image, newsletter and all that. They're optional. So scroll down, choose how to install Chocolatey. So install Chocolatey for individual use. Yeah, this is what I recommend. I think we have other one for business mode and Chocolatey license install and all that. But let's stick with this. This is the command that you're going to run. You can just copy it, right, and install it. But before you do that, you can see here, you will need PowerShell, which is normal, and you need to run your PowerShell as an administrator, okay, which is normal. I'm going to talk about it later. Let's just finish the steps. So what you want to do is to run get execution policy. So you need to launch your PowerShell as an admin, okay? Once you launch it, you run this command, get execution policy. So if it returns restricted, then run set execution policy all signed, or you run this other one. Once you run it, I don't think it's going to return anything for you. You can go back again and run get execution policy. Just make sure that when you run it the second time, it shouldn't show restricted. Okay, so if it shows something else, maybe bypass or whatsoever, then you are good to go. If you run it for the first time too, if it doesn't show restricted, maybe bypass or whatsoever, or all signed, you are good to go. Okay, then you can now proceed to copy this and then install it. Okay, once you install it, I think everything is good. Just install it. It will run some various things. Make sure you have a stable internet connection. Most times it might take time depending on your internet speed and your system. All right, so once you're sure that everything is done, we can just close these tabs. We don't need it anymore. Then you can now run maybe Choco to just see if they will give you any options. And then finally, it's still inside your PowerShell. You run Choco install -SDK. So once you run that, you can now change the default install path and all those various things that are required for Windows. I can't walk you through this process now because I'm not using a Windows device. Okay, but I'm going to maybe look for a link and drop it also in the description of this section. All right, that's pretty much it, and you can see how to upgrade it and also how to uninstall it. Then the next thing that you want to look at is Linux. You use your apt-get command and all that for Linux users. I believe whosoever that is using Linux is already a little bit technical, so you should be able to get your way around this. All right, and finally we have our Mac OS users. So for Mac OS, you need the Homebrew package installer. So what you want to do is just to open the website, install Homebrew, just copy this and paste, install it, and you're good to go. It's very straightforward. All right, and once you do that, you can use brew install whatever package that you want to install, SDK brew install, and it will get it done for you. So what we want to do in the case of that is to run brew install that. Okay, it's going to run a couple of commands and run, make sure you have internet connection, and it will be done. All right, then you can verify other things that you want to do and all that. Okay, and it's also advised whenever you add anything to your environment part or your environment variables, whatever, try to restart your terminal or restart your device. Okay, once you restart it, you can get back to this video. Okay, so that's pretty much it for that installation. Okay, we don't really need much thing. Once you're done, you can just run that hyphen version. Let me say I bring up my terminal here. You can run that hyphen version. So once it runs, it will just return a command like this for you, that version that you're currently running on, and yeah, you're good to go. So as at the time making this section, I'm currently running 3.6.0. okay, so you'll see a different version in your own. All right, and yeah, so you're good to go with that. So next thing that we want to look at is, yeah, it's pretty much it. And in case you want to go further, maybe further ahead of me while in this section, you can go to docs. You can see that SDK language store. You can see a lot of things just to understand about the language, their basic syntax, variable operators, and all that. Okay, maybe you want to go and all that. So that's pretty much it for this section. So I'm just going to close that tab. We don't need that anymore. So we have I think we'll need it. Let me just open it and keep. And the next thing that we want to look at is understanding that syntax and the fundamentals. So first thing we are going to look at is the data types. So we have various data types in that, but in this section, I'm only going to talk about the basic ones that you need to get started with that, the most important ones. All right, so other ones you can go on your own to learn it. Okay, though I'm adding, we have double. So double is used to store or to hold values that are in decimal format, like weight of an item, amount to hold, money values, and all that. Then we have int, used to hold. So basically double is used to hold decimal values. Then int is used to hold whole numbers, like age of somebody, total number, count, and all that. Then we have string, also a data type. It's used to hold strings, anything like text, what is your name, how old are you, all those strings, word, like combination of words, combination of characters to make up a word, and all that. It's what we use string for. And we have the bool. It used to hold true or false values, 0 and 1s and all that. True, false, true, yes, false, no. Then we have our list. I'm not supposed to include list here, but I just want to show you guys a little bit about it. So list is more like it's a collection type, and it's used to hold elements with the same data type. All right, you can use to hold list of integers, list of string, list of doubles, like names of, let's just say names of everybody in the class. You can use list of string to do that, or age of everybody in the class. You can use list of int to do that. Then secondly, we have our variables. I'm going to show you guys how to declare variables using the various data types that I just talked about. And I'm also going to talk about the constant variables, value, and all those stuff, final, const, and all that. Then finally, we are going to talk about comments. So comments are basically what we use to describe how our code behaves, describe a particular portion of our code or programs. All right, so that's basically it. So now let's move over to the main thing. So before I move over, there was something I skipped while talking about that setup. Okay, we need VS Code. We need an IDE to run our app. Okay, so somehow I'm disconnected. So let me just connect back. I don't know. All right, this is taking a lot of time. All right, I think I'm connected there. Let me refresh this screen. All right, guys, just give me a few moments. Let me restart my router. Hold on. All right, I'm back. So sorry for that interruption. Okay. All right, so go to your browser or Google, search for Visual Studio Code. You're going to see the first one. Though we have Visual Studio Code, we have Visual Studio. So make sure you are installing Visual Studio Code. So click on it. It's going to open you will see download here, right? This is going to be our default IDE that we'll be using throughout this section, even for the development when we enter Flutter, okay? So that's what we are going to be using. So you go to download, you're going to see Windows, you're going to see Linux, you're also going to see Mac, okay? So you download based on the iOS or based on the operating system that you're running on. Okay, so once you've done that, you can launch the VS Code. All right, so in my own case, I already have my VS Code up and running here. So we are going to be moving on to the next side, which is the data types and the rest. So I have my VS Code already running. So there are two things now you need to set up in your VS Code. First, when you open your VS Code, I believe this is what you're going to be seeing. Just a fresh new Windows, all right? Then if you go here, the top right, your Explorer area, like your tab, you are going to see extension, right? So click on extensions. Inside this extension, I want you to search for one thing, code runner. So this code runner is going to help us to run our that program easily. Once currently you can see that it's installed, so that's what we are seeing on install. Once you install it, you are going to see automatically this play icon is going to appear on your VS Code. All right, so you can use it to run different programming languages. All right, so once you've done that, the next thing you want to search for is that. You go to the extension marketplace, you'll see that. Make sure you're installing the right one, and you install it. Once it has been installed, it will ask you to restart. If you're also using Android Studio, you also need to install the extension or plugin. Okay, then I would advise you restart your VS Code once you've done that. Okay, so that's it. You can close it. Then the next thing you want to do, click on this icon here. You can see Explorer. It's going to open this for you. You click on open folder. So once you open folder, I would advise you go to, all right, let's just use development here, and we are going to install. Let's just create a new folder, right? And we'll call this tutorial and create. Okay, then you open. Yep, so we are up and running, and now we have our tutorial here. So what you want to do next is to create a new file. You can see new file here, but I normally use this. Since this is our folder, you can collapse it and expand it. So click on new file. You can see new file, you can see new folder. So click on new file. We are going to create our example project file that we are going to be writing all our code, and this is going to be a .dat file. So one thing I want you to know is whenever you're naming a file in .dat, make sure they are all in lowercase, and avoid spacing. If the words are 2, let's say you want example app, if the words are 2, make sure you use underscore to separate it. Don't use empty space. All right, so that's my advice for you. And also every .dat file needs to have an extension of .dat. I'm going to show you guys. I'm just trying to explain so you write it down. And if you are, let's say you have your images in your phone, right? If you take notes, you will see that they have .png extension, .jpeg, .jpg. If you check your music, you will see .mp3. If you check your videos, you will see .mov, you will see .mp4, and so on. Those are extensions, right? That is used to identify, to just make the system identify what type of file is that, right? And you know the kind of app or programs that are going to execute it for you. So in our own case, remember what I told you, all lowercase, underscore for 2 words, and .dat extension when we are creating a .dat file. So what we're going to do here is to say example, 2 names, app, 2 words, example app .dat. So if you have another one, you can say example app, maybe .dat and all that. Make sure you don't put anything like spacing. All right, I didn't say that. I didn't say you should put spacing. Okay, so yeah, and then you click enter. So with this now, what we can do now, before you run any .dat program, we will need a top level function or top level method. This is used to execute our .dat program. You need this void main in every program that you're creating. You need this initial void main. So whatsoever that you are running should be inside the main function. This is more like telling that to know where to start from in running your app. Okay, so let's say for instance we want to run our first Dart program, and we say print hello world. So here you can see, I'm just going to explain this for you. We have the first top level function, very important. You can also run multiple programs inside here, but make sure you have your void main. So as you can see here, we have our print method. This print method is used for running or like for outputting items, right? We use it to print objects to the console, right? To display objects or whatever to the console. And what is that console? If you go up, screw up a little, go to terminal and new terminal, you are going to see this is your terminal, this is your console. This console, you use it most times. You can also set it up in Dart. There's a settings for it, but we are not going to talk about that. Okay, I just want to show you guys the straight part to understanding that the basic things you need to move into Flutter. We are not here to be writing command line code and all that. Okay, so and yeah, we have our terminal. Mostly you'll be using terminal and debug console a lot to monitor your code when we get to Flutter, but for now just focus on the terminal. All right, so here we have this, and to run our first program we have our method. You can see it's enclosed with parentheses, and inside we have a string. I'm going to talk about data types later. We have a string, double quote to enclose it, and whatsoever that is enclosed in a double quote or single quote is a string. All right, and you can see the last state. You can see this statement, the print method ends with this a semicolon. So every Dart statement must end with semicolon. The reason why we did not end this with semicolon is because this is a function, right? It's not really a statement like that, it's more like a function. But if we are calling this function, we need to end it with this semicolon. More examples in the next section. All right, so once you have done that, and make sure you have installed Code Runner, just click on this play icon. You can see output hello world. Now congratulations, you have successfully run your first Dart program. All right, go ahead and play with the print method, play with add other strings and all that. Okay, so you can share it with your friends that you have learned something today. Okay, all right, so next thing we want to look at now are the data types. Remember I told you that we're going to talk about double. We're also going to talk about double, not just when we have 4.6, you know, when we have decimal numbers like this, they are all double, right? Then we have int. When we have things like whole numbers, is used to hold whole numbers. Okay, then we have string, used to hold strings. So string can either be enclosed in a double quote or you can use a single quote. So whichever one, it won't really give much issue. All right, then we have bool, not really boolean, it's spelled like this. This double should be in lowercase, double, int, string, bool. They are all special, I would say, reserved characters or reserved keyword in Dart. The reason why I say they are reserved keyword is that you cannot use them to create a name of a function. You cannot use them to create a name of a variable. I'm going to show you guys later, okay? But just write it down somewhere, okay? I don't want to move too fast. So we have our bool. I already explained about bool. And finally we have our list. And I told you before that list is used to hold elements, multiple elements with the same data type. In this case, you can see we have this list enclosed in square brackets, and we have the same elements inside, which are 1, 2, 3, 4. They are all integer data types. And you can see here we defined it, list int. If we do something like int double, now we are changing it. It's still going to work. This will not cause error for us. So the reason is because double has a higher precision over integers. That means double can hold whole numbers, double can hold decimal numbers. but we can do same for, I cannot say the same thing for integers. The reason why is because integers cannot hold decimal numbers. There will not always be an error. I will show you examples as we move further. Now we have this is our double. You can see it's okay. We can use double with type of int of bool, sorry. This now is going to cause error, assuming we are running it. Okay, I don't want to remove. Okay, let's say we put true and false. All right, all these things are not showing error. Do you know why? Because the compiler is not seeing, or the DAT is not seeing these stuffs. Right? It's more like telling the compiler to, hey, ignore these things. But assuming we do something like this now, let's say I move this and put it here, you can see that a lot of errors. You can see red. Anything red means error in that. Okay, red, you are seeing red. So can anybody just tell me why we are getting this thing? Why it's different? Why the initial ones are not showing error but the other ones are showing error? All right, if you get an answer, just put it in the comment section. All right, I'm going to just put it in the comment section, pause and let me know. So moving on, the reason why it's like this is because, remember, I know I've skipped variables, but let me talk about comments. Okay, it's because these ones are commented, why these ones are not commented. So remember I told you initially that comments are used to describe part of our code. Right? So comments are ignored by the compiler. Even though you type rubbish in front of the comments, it's not going to throw error. If you run your app, it's going to ignore it. All right? So as you can see here, we have three types of comments. We have single lines comment, we have documentation comment, we have multi-line comments in that. So as you can see here now, we have these are single line comments. And if you say you want to write another comment below it, you will need to put this single line again and do this and just write whatever you want to write to describe your code. And for documentation comment is normally used if you want to write documentation about a specific method or a specific function or class. Okay, we are going to talk about classes and all that later. But now we have multi-line comments. Instead of using single line in each of these things, we can enclose all these things inside a multi-line comment. So if I remove these comments, then you can see that all of them are showing error, right? We don't need to be putting / / in all the lines. So we can just use this / asterisk. Okay, you can see that automatically all these things has turned to comment, but we need to close it. So to close it, you come to the end of where you want the multi-line comments to end, put another asterisk and put your /. So now you can see that this is a multi-line comment. All these things has been enclosed in this comment. Okay, we don't need to use single line comments in each of all these stuffs. We just use the multi-line comments to describe them as a comment. Okay, then you have the documentation comment. All right, so far we have talked about data types, and I've actually explained what the data types are. We have talked about variables, we have talked about comments. So the last thing I want to show you guys now are variables. So what, I know the name doesn't really describe its meaning, but variables they are used to hold values, to describe something. It's just more like you as a person now watching this stream, your name, let's say, let me just assume your name is Samuel, right? That's a name they gave you by birth. So if your parents wants to call you, they will call you by Samuel. Once they call it, let's say you have like 3 siblings, different names. Whenever they call Samuel, who is going to answer? You are the one, because that's your name, right? Let's say your other sibling's name is David. If they call David, that your sibling is going to answer and not you. So that's what we use variables for, to hold values that we can reuse later. And each of those values have a data type. They can be final, constant, or dynamic. They have data type, which we define what kind of value that they are going to hold. That value now is you. The data type describes whether you are a male or a female, right? Then we have the name of the variable, which is Samson as your name. Then we have the assignment variable. So this is how it is. First, we have, let me use a single line comment here. We have data type, right? Then we have data type, name of variable, and then we have assignment operator. I'm going to talk about operator later, but this one is equal to assign value, and then we have the value. Okay, the value can either be a string or an integer, right? You can just say string. Then you make sure you enclose it, you end it with a, because it's a statement, you end it with a semicolon. All right, remember I told you guys about it when I was explaining the print method. So let's just scroll up a little. So now let's describe a comment. Let's describe a variable of a person that whose name is Samson. All right, so in that case, since we are trying to describe a person with the name Samson, that should tell you that we are going to use string for variables like that. So we have the first thing, which is the data type string. Then what's the name? Name of the boy. Okay, let's just say name. All right, then we say equal to, which is the assignment. And what's the name? The name is more like the value. So we have data type, name, assignment, value. I'm supposed to say assignment operator, and then we have value. This is how it is. Data type, name, assignment, value, and value. Assignment operator, let's just use OPRO, ATO as operator, and then value. So we have name, okay, and then we have the assignment operator, and then the value, which is going to be Samson. All right, then you end it with the semicolon. So now you can see we have data type string, name, value. I know most of you might be wondering what's the best way to use string, like to declare names and all that. Names can be declared using, let's say, camel case, Pascal case. There are a lot of it, so just go and read it up. Pascal case, that's assignment for you. Pascal case, camel case, snake case, and the rest. Okay, then you see how they are. So you can use something like, let's say if the name is a two-word name, you can say name of, I normally like capitalizing. If it's like 3 words, the first word all in lowercase, the second word I like capitalizing the first letter or the first character, name of person, then the third word I capitalize the third letter. So in the comment section below, do your research and let me know what kind of case is this. Is it a camel case, snake case, Pascal case, or whatever? Just let me know what type of case is name of person that I'm using to create this. So we have the second name, which is David. All right, so this is just a simple way of defining a variable that holds a string. Remember I told you that this name too can be enclosed with semicolon, right? So you shouldn't panic. Then the next thing we want to do now is to create an integer. Integers are used to hold whole number, so we can say age 6, right? These are, we are following the same thing: data type, name, assignment operator, and value. This is the assignment operator, this is the value, this is the enclosing semicolon, this is the age, this is the int. You cannot use, remember I told you before too that you cannot use special characters like string, integer, and double to declare a name of something. Let's say you do int now, you can see this is an error. This is an error. Even if you say want to name this int, okay, this didn't really give any error, but it's not advisable, right? Try to avoid special keywords or special keywords in that. Make your variable name unique, short and simple. Let you explain the type of value that you're trying to hold. Okay, then you have double, the same thing. You can just say weight, which is the name of the variable. It must not be weight, it can be anything. You can say weight of the item, let's say weight of the item, you can put the value. So it must not be the same thing. All right. So I believe I'm actually explaining this clear for you guys. Okay. So, and finally we have the bool. So bool is just, let's say is old equal to false. It just is old, bool, data type, the name, assignment, and the value. It can be either true or false. Okay. So if you print, you can also actually use your print. Now let's say we want to call this variable just like your name now. Maybe your parents just called you, one of your parents called you. So what is going to return? Let's say you just call your name Samson or whatsoever. It's something that's going to be returned. So I'm calling you as a person now, like the name inside. If I run this program, you're going to see that it's printing Samson. Ignore this hello world. It's more like the first thing that we called. So it's going to read the line one step at a time, right, until it gets to this one. So you're going to print Samson, which is the name that we just entered here. If there's an error somewhere, right, if you try to run it, the compiler will immediately tell us that, hey, there's an error, expected semicolon after this. So you need to know that, oh, there's an error here, or I need to put my semicolon. Okay, then you run your code again. Sweet. And yeah, I also told you guys about list. Let's say list of integer. You have age of students. You have all these things as the age of students, and close it. So if we print this now, age of students, all right, see what will happen. It's going to print all the data that we just entered here. So remember I told you that whenever something shows red, it means there's an error. But if something shows orange or amber or yellow, don't panic. These are just warning. It's just telling you that we are not using this variable. So it's giving you suggestion that you can use the variable or remove it. All right. So don't worry. And secondly, in case you're wondering why this thing is showing like this, it's giving me error beforehand and all that, I'm actually using an extension which is called error lens. Okay. All right. So now we can move forward to the next thing. We have final keyword. We can also use final to declare variables. So when you use finals to declare variables, they are initially assigned a value. While we are running the app, they cannot be reassigned. So when a value is, let's say, final string name, let's just say student name, right? I'm using a string data type now. Student name, let's say Destiny. If I try to do something like student name equal to Jacob, look what it shows. It's showing me error here now. I'm trying to assign a new value to this student name. See what it's showing me. The final variable student can only be set once. So try making student name non-final. So all these ones that we have declared here are all non-final. They are opposite of this. It cannot be reassigned. So let me show you an example now. Initially, you can see this age of student. Okay, let me use something else. Let me use age. If I run this now for the first time, you can see age is showing 6, right? But before I run this, I want to reassign a new value to this age. So I can do age equal to 10. All right, you can see it did not show me that error because this is non-final. I can reassign a new value to it. If I run it now, we are no more going to see 6. Guess the number. Yeah, we are going to see 10, right? Reason is because we reassigned a new value to this age. Age was initially assigned to 6, but now we reassigned it a new value of 10. So what we are going to be seeing is 10, right? So that's it for reassigning of value and all that. So just know that finals, when you declare it, they are only set once. Then another one again that we have is constant, const, right? These are constants, and you can see there's an error. The reason is because we already have a student name variable, and I'm trying to create another one with similar name. it's not going to work. Even though you change the value, just make sure that the names are unique. You have not reassigned it before in the same file or program, all right, or function. We are going to talk about functions later. See what it's saying here. The name student name is already defined. Try renaming one of the declarations. So you need to know student name 2. You can use number to declare. You can see, just use student name 2 and change it. So constant, let's say we want to reassign a new value now to constant. Hello. It's also a constant variable. Constant variables can be assigned a value. Okay. Once you have assigned it once, you can now assign a value again. Try removing the assignment or remove the modifier const from the variable. Okay. Once it's constant, it's constant. You can now reassign a value to it. Okay. And I know you might be wondering, it's not the same thing with final. It's not the same thing with final. Well, final, they are not the same thing. So let me remove this now. Final variables, we can declare the variable and make it null without assigning any value initially. You can see now it does not have any value, no assignment operator. Now we can come down here and reassign a new value to it. You can see now it's not showing us any error. The reason is because we have not assigned any value to it before. Remember I told you that final can only be set once. But in this case, it has not been set here. We just declared it. And here we now set a value to it. No error. But in the case of constant, it's different. Constant, you cannot declare it without a value, which is what I just showed you here. See what it's showing. The constant student name must be initialized. That means we need to initialize it a value before we can use it. So you can see that it's totally different from final in terms of initialization, but reassigning of value, they are the same. You cannot reassign a value to them once they have been set once. I hope you understand that part. Okay, so that's pretty much what you need to know about variables, declaring variables, assigning names, assigning values. Okay, this is what I can show you. So go forth and experiment, practice. We watch this video as many times as possible. And also try to do some research. Ask me question also in the Telegram channel in case you don't understand anything. I'm available, all right, for you guys. Now that is pretty much everything for that syntax and the fundamentals. So now we are going to be looking at string manipulation and conversion of types. So we can convert string to lowercase, uppercase, and so much more. I'm not going to show you all of them. I'm going to show you the relevant ones. Then you can go and I'm just going to show you few. Then you can just go and experiment. Then we also have type conversions. It's more like converting an integer to a double, converting an integer to a string, converting a string to an integer, converting a double to an integer, and so on. All right, let's get started. So here now, we have student name, and okay, let's say we have student name 2, okay, and we have declared destiny. So let me move this guy to this bottom side and say, let me print out student name 2. All right, if I run it, what is this now? Okay, let me remove this hello world. You can clear terminal, right? You can just clear the output from here. So let's click here. You can see we have destiny. What is this telling you? This is all in lowercase. It's all in lowercase. So let's try to manipulate this string, maybe making it all uppercase and all that. So we can do student name 2 dot. Is not really going. Let's remove this from a constant variable to a normal dynamic variable. And also one other thing I will need to show you, you can use var. You can use var to declare variables that are dynamic. Okay, so when it's dynamic like this, you can assign any variable to it. String for double. But one thing you need to know, sorry, I did not talk about it initially, but just pay attention. But one thing you need to know about it is once you have assigned it an initial value, you cannot reassign another data type to it because you have already assigned it a data type of bool. So this is normally used in case you don't know what kind of data type to use. You just use something else like dynamic var, right? You can also use dynamic. It works the same way as var, all right? If you hover, you can see it's showing dynamic. So var2 is a special keyword. It's also, once you assign it a value, to automatically tell the system that, hey, okay, this is a bool. You cannot reassign another type of data type to it. Okay, so just take note of that. All right, I will go ahead and remove that, or let me just leave it, so no need to remove it. All right, so here now we have our student name. Let me move it to this downside. We have our student name. So what I want to do now, I want to convert the student name to uppercase. So we can use dot to, you can see, to lowercase, to string. We are going to use this later in type conversion. Just use to uppercase. All right, this is a method. If we run this code, this destiny from lowercase is going to change to uppercase. All right. Error: variables must be declared using the keyword const final var or a type name. Try adding the name of the type. Okay. I think you cannot just assign it like this directly and then call it. You can either do it inside this print method dot uppercase. If we do it like this, it's going to work without that error, right? You can see it's all uppercase. Or you can create a new value. Create a new value. Let's just use final in this case. Uppercase. Let's just call it a new name, uppercase. Then we're now going to call student name dot to uppercase. All right. Now, instead of calling student name directly, what we are going to be calling is student name. We are going to call this uppercase, like the new variable that we created. Okay, and if you run it, it's going to give us the accurate value. You can also do more things. I'm using final because I just want this to be dynamic. You can just it doesn't matter. So you can also do the same thing to convert it to lowercase, assuming it's already in uppercase. Aside that, you can also check if it contains something. That's if you're working with bool, conditional, and all that. We are going to talk about it later, so I don't want to go in depth. But if you hover, there's a lot of things to check here. If it's empty, that's if it's an empty string. If it's not null, you can also get the length of this variable. Let's just get the length. Sorry, I'm using the same name, but let's change the name to length. Okay. So the length is going to show us how many characters, right, are in this word. So let's click. All right, something is wrong. Student name dot length int. Yeah, this is int. Yeah. So why are we getting error? Okay, you need to save. You can see 7. Most times you need to do Command S or Control S before you run your program. If not, you'll be seeing error. And to fix that, I think there's a section around settings where you can fix that. I can't really remember. Right, there should be a section around settings. When you go to your settings or code, you see settings. You go to settings and you see auto save, kinda. Auto save, yeah, after delay and all that. You can say on, after delay, you have a specific delay or off. Okay, auto save once you are typing, and if you stop typing after some few seconds, it's going to auto save it for you. But yeah, but for now, let's stick with our Command X, okay, to save. Or you can also go to file and click on save. Okay, all right, so once you run it, you can see that we are getting 7. If you count all these words in this the characters in this word destiny, you see that they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, you can also do 7 minus 3, like the length minus 3 is going to give you another thing, which is 4, right? If you multiply it together, that's, if you do dot length, it's going to return integer to you. Yeah, so it's not going to be string or what, say another thing again. So let's do another manipulation to this string. Let's say we go back. If you go scroll down, there's a lot of things you can replace. Let's say replace some characters inside. Let's say I want to replace anything that is D, right, with something like T. So any character or any character inside this word that starts with D or that has D is going to be replaced with T. So save this and run it. You will notice that we have testing now. So D has been replaced to testing. So these are just string manipulation and a lot of things. You can also add hyphen in between these words. So you can do something like string dot, I think that should be split. So let's just say we split it. Okay, dot join. So when you split it, it's converting them to a list. Let's run it. You're going to see how it's going to display. If you do the split, you are converting them to a list separated by comma. You can see now there are now list of strings, all those names. But this is not what I want to achieve. I want to put hyphen between those words. So I can now do dot join. So dot join, this is more like, more than some things that you need to take your time to study and all that. So it's not really something you get immediately. Try to rewatch the video, practice on your own, and you will understand it. So we're now going to click must have a main. What happened? All right, let me save this and run it again. Now you can see we have destiny, and each of the words or each of the characters in that word are all separated with hyphen. All right, so you can use something else, another word, and you will notice how it's going to be separated, and you have the word and we have the word and all that. So that's just how you play with strings. There are a lot of things. I'm not going to show you guys all of them, right? So but you can walk and see how you can just play around with it, replace words and all that. Just know that there's a lot of things to be done with a string. All right, so the next thing we want to talk about now is type conversion. So I'm going to show you how to convert. I'm going to show you guys 3 examples: converting a double to an integer, converting a string to an integer, and also converting integer to string and all that. So let's do the first one. So we have our, I'm going to move this age that we change the, we are going to be using age. So I want to convert this age. Remember, this age now is a whole number. I want to convert it to a double. So what do? Let's say we create a new variable. I'll just leave this one. So let's say find conversion. I just put conversation there. Conversion. So what I'm going to do here is to say age dot to double. So converting it to, you can manipulate strings too, right? There is a lot of things to be done. So converting it is also part of manipulation. We are changing it from the initial data type value to another data type. So you can round it to whole number. Maybe if you're working with double, you can round it. You can also, all these things are objects that are available for you to work with. You can see a lot of things, maths function that you can use. Imagine you building a calculator app. There's a lot of things that you can do here. So let's say dot to double. I'm trying to convert this integer to a double. So if I click print on conversion, instead of printing 10, it's going to print 10.0 like a decimal. So watch out. See what we are getting, 10.0 as a decimal. All right. I think there is also something that we need to do. Type dot. I think I can't really remember how this. Okay, runtime type. You can check the type of this value or variable. it's going to tell us that this is a double, right? But assuming that we did not put this to double, now if you run it, it's going to tell us that this is an integer, all right, because that's the initial data type that we assigned it to. But when we converted it to a double, it's giving us something else, all right? So that's it. You can also convert it to a string. So let's say to string. All right, so now the data type has been changed automatically to a string. If you do the runtime type, it's actually a string. Okay, so that's pretty much it. You can manipulate things the way you want, convert values and all that. So you can also use another method again. Let's say conversion to, assuming we do not have any variable, or you can use another method. Let's say we want to convert this integer to a double too. We can use double dot pass. So this double dot pass, now it takes a string inside. So we need to convert the age to a string before double will be able to pass it. So you can now say age dot to string. All right. So if we print conversion to and check the run type, it's going to be a double. So there's a lot of things for you to learn, but these ones that I'm showing you are the basic and most important things that you need to focus on. And take your time also to go through other things. All right. So we also have let's say we have a string name number. Let's just call it number for instance. So we have 0. This is a string. Remember when I said that you can convert a string to an integer, it doesn't mean you want to go and convert student name 2, which is destiny, to number. Is there any number like that? No. So if you have like 0 that is enclosed in square brackets, that is a string like this, you can print it out. And also you can do number 2, you can say number, you cannot directly convert it to integer because it's a string. So what you can use this method that I used here, int dot pass. All right, and you say number. Pretty much it. And when you run it, let's say runtime type is going to give us int. Just simple. So you can use int.pass to convert, double.pass, or age dot to string, age dot to double, and all that to pass variables, right, from one data type to another. Okay, so that's pretty much it for string manipulation and type conversion. So the next one we are going to be looking now is operators and expression. I think this is more like the last thing that we're going to be looking at on this section. Then in the next section we are going to be looking at other things. So first we have our operators. So I already told you guys about assignment operator, which is we use it to declare or assign variables to assign values to variables. So we have operator 1, we have equality and relational operators, we have logical operators. We have a lot of them, okay? So it's left for you to go and practice. If you go to this Dart website, if you go down to that syntax, you're going to see operators, okay? Inside here, you can see that we have a lot of operators. A lot, yeah? We have multiplication operator, we have division, modulus, we have remainder operator, we have addition, subtraction operator. You can see these are all the operators, okay? We have less than or equal to, no, these are just shifts, yeah? And we have bitwise operators, we have bitwise or, we have relational ones, which are greater than or equal to, think all this algebra, primary school algebra and all that. So you have high school algebra too. You have greater than, less than or equal to, less than, and yeah, you have equality to compare two values, equal to. This one is not equal to. You have and, you have or, logical and. We have if null, a lot of them, right? So you can just go through this website, that.dev language operators, and get more insights, all right? Get more insights. I cannot show you guys everything. So you need to do more research on your own, right? Do more research on your own, because at the end of this section, I'm going to give assignment for you guys to do, and I need to see submissions. So do your study. That's how you get ahead of other persons. Study, okay? So, and also it shows that you're very serious with what you want to achieve this year. All right, so there's a lot of things that you can work with. You can see they are also showing you examples of how to use them. But no worries, I'm going to show you guys just few examples on how to use this, and then you can now go ahead and with others. So I'm not going to show you guys everything. So the first operators, let's use our comments. We have multiplication, subtraction, division, no, addition, subtraction, multiplication. We have division, we have modulus. So let me talk about these ones. We also have equality, not equal to, we have less than or equal to, we have less than operator, we have greater than or equal to, we have a lot of them, okay? So I'm not going to talk about them, but let me explain it for you. We have on, logical on, we have logical or as well. So addition operator is just used to get the summation of two numbers. So if you have age 0 and 5, let's say you have something like this now, final sum, you can just do something like 2 plus 4. All right, this is going to give you integer 2 plus 4. If you print it, this is just simple maths. If you run it, you're going to see 7. So 2 plus 4 is 7 when you sum it. Then we can do the same thing. Let's say we want to work with subtraction. So we can do final difference. You can get the difference between two numbers using subtraction operator. So we have print here, difference 8 minus 2. So that's going to give us the accurate value, yeah, which is 6. Okay. You can do the same thing for multiplication. Let's say like you want to get the product of two numbers. Okay. We have the product of two numbers, which is 5 multiplied by 9 is going to give us the accurate value, which is 45. Okay. So you can see how it is. You can also get the quotient of two numbers. Let's say the quotient of two numbers 10 and 2 is going to give us let's say the quotient of two numbers 10 and 2 is going to give us 5 when you divide it, right? Yeah, 5.0, because it's a double. Whenever you're dividing values, you're expected to get doubles from it. So automatically the data type will be assigned to a double. If you say you want to specify the data type, it's going to show error. Why? Because whenever you divide two numbers, you are expecting a double, right? Because you must expect a double, because there's no way you can say 7 divided by 3, even though they are all it's going to round the number for you, but at least it's good to be safe. All right, so when you use int, you can say the value of type double can be assigned to the value of type int and all that. So I'm using final because I'm just using dynamic. Let it just assign it whatever values that it wants. Aside that, remember in maths you can add precision to, multiplication has higher precision than any other type of operator. So you can use this minus 4 plus 3, and you can use multiple operators. So it's going to give you the accurate value whenever you do it. Okay, product and all that. So there's nothing to be scared about. Yeah. Yeah. So minus 4 plus 4 is still just 0 there. So all right. So that's pretty much it for operators and multiplication, division, and all that. And we have modulus. So what it does is it returns the remainder of two numbers. Remember when we are using our quotient, if you divide two numbers 10 and 2, it doesn't return the remainder, it returns the accurate value when you divide, which is 5.0. But if you are using quotient now and you divide two numbers, what it's going to do is that if you are using a modulus, like, it's going to return the remainder for you. So 10 divided by 3, right? It's now going to give you the remainder. Okay, the remainder, which is 1. the one that is left out. Okay, 10 divided by 3, if you do it properly, it's going to give you like 3, right? 3 plus 3 plus 3, which is 9, plus the remainder, which is 1, is going to give you 10. All right, so that's it. Then the other ones that we have is we have equal to. So what we are just trying to check is age equal to. This is going to return a bool for us, because when we are using equality like this, we are comparing two values. We are comparing age. In this case, age is what? Age is 10, right? Because we reassign the new value. So if you print it, guess what it's going to give us? It's going to give us true. Why? Because age is equal to 10. So if you say age is equal to 2, age is more like the 10 that we have there. You can say 10 equal to 12. It's going to give us false, because these two numbers are not the same, right? So that's it. We can also do the same thing for not equal to. So not equal to is just the opposite of equal to. 10 is not equal to 12. This is going to give us true, because those two values are not the same. It's going to give us true, right? Because they are not the same. So let's say we do the next one, which is less than, right? Is less than 10 less than 12. It's true. 10 is actually less than 12. So we're going to get true. So basically, these are just returning true and false for us, okay? When you are using equality operators. We also have is greater than 10 greater than 12 is going to give us false, right? Because 10 is not greater than 12. Then finally, we have the greater than, less than, less than or equal to. Okay, we have less than or equal to. So we are comparing two things. Is it less than or equal to 12? It's going to give us true, because 10 is less than 10 is less than 12, but it's not equal to 12. But because we have two conditions, it will first of all satisfy the first one and then return the value back to us. I know that I'm going a little bit into mathematics terms, but you know, programming kind of have a little touch of mathematics to it, so you shouldn't be scared. These are just simple algebra. All right, so you can just see how the true or false are printing out. So I will suggest that you go back, watch this video to get more idea. Then you have is and true equal to true and true. So true and true is more like comparing, like it needs to satisfy the two value. True and true, it must satisfy true and true, which is going to be true. Okay, all right, save it. True and true is going to be true. All right, if you say true and false, when you use AND operator, the two value must be satisfied. They must be the same. You're going to see more of this once we enter the main thing. They must be satisfied. You're going to see. Okay, let me save this. They must be satisfied. So if the two values are not satisfied, it's going to return false for us. So that's why we need to use true and true. And another one we need to use is and false. So what this does is it just satisfies. Once one is satisfied, it's going to return true regardless. So true and false. No, this should be or. When you use logical or, dead code. Why is it dead? Okay, we can just say age. Okay, mostly we can use this when we are working with conditions, right? It's not something I can really test here, but I can use other values. But I just want you to understand that when you're using AND, logical AND and OR, and the two cases that you're comparing must satisfy to true before it will return true to you. If one of them fails, it's going to return false. But for all, it just needs one to satisfy, right? If you have ideas with truth table, you understand. If you just need one to be satisfied to true, let's say if you have true or false, or you have age is less than 4 or age is greater than 4. If age is less than 4, it's going to show you true. It doesn't matter what the second value says, right? It's going to show you true. but if you are doing for and, the two cases must satisfy to true before you will get what you need. It's going to give you the right answer or true. Okay, so that is pretty much it, and we have the logical operators and all that. So we have covered everything about operators, and so far what we covered in today's section is what is that, setting up that and running your first program, understanding that syntax and fundamentals, data types, variables and comments. We also talked about string manipulation and data conversion, and also we talked about operators. So in the next sections, we are going to be talking about some in-depth things. So I would advise you join my Telegram channel, where you're going to be seeing updates from me. And so in the next section, which is happening on Friday 7th, we are going to be talking about loops, collections, functions, classes, object-oriented programming, and handling of exceptions. And then in day 3, which is a Q&A section, this is going to be happening in Telegram live. So if you're not part of the Telegram group, you're not going to be part of this Q&A section. All right, so be sure to make yourself available. Join the Telegram channel. I'm going to put a link for you guys to see. Okay, so a lot is already going on here. So far we have covered a lot of things. And thank you so much for being part of this section for today. All right, so do not forget to subscribe. Okay, drop a comment with any question. I will actually attend to it, and also join the Telegram community where we can communicate more better, and also you can hear more from me. All right, see you guys in the next section, which is happening in 2 days time. All right.